Yo,
What's
welcome
up, guys?
back. Happy Friday. Welcome
Friday.
to Operation Hustle, episode 12. We are interviewing
Wow, 12
Jarrett
episodes.
Haas. He's German, and he does our videos for us, and he's been with us for a long time now.
So yeah, all
really
those sick ads you see,
excited to have him on the show.
that's Jarrett doing them.
Yeah, so anytime you hear Abby's voice on the Facebook, it's usually his video
As Jarrett
that
would
he
say,
shot.
the Abby voice. Riverview,
Yeah.
Brandon, Valrico, and all surrounding areas.
Yep. And we're actually shooting another commercial tomorrow, some photos. So he does a lot of things, and we're going to ask him a bunch of questions, and he's going to answer them. So I want to start the day off with a quote. This has to do with entrepreneurship. Nice. Don't start
Fire
a business
drill.
for the money. Start a business to make a difference. And that is just basically starting a business. You don't really want to start it for the money. You want to start it to make a difference, and that will give you the opportunity to kind of move forward with it and not just do it for the money, but you're doing it for a bigger, better purpose. And look
Love
at this. We're on point, and this thing's going off.
Hey, is it
Just so
okay?
And it didn't
everybody
even
knows,
hold
there's
me
a
up.
fire drill going off right now.
Can we add
So
like
as
a
the voice
beat?
behind the camera that nobody ever seen on this show, they're testing some of the fire, basically safety equipment in the building. I just didn't realize they were going to literally do it
Dude.
right when we went live on this podcast.
Perfect.
So we're not breaking any codes for anybody watching out there. We
We're
do not need to
safe.
evacuate the building.
Nobody's on
It
fire.
is purely a drill, and they're testing equipment. So I
think we're
apologize
good.
about this.
Nah, you're good. So, but yeah, like I said, start the business not for the money, but for a purpose to make a difference, and it will last longer, or it should, in theory. So, basically, I want to go into a couple questions for Jarrett. I kind of want to ask him, how did you survive the pandemic with your own business? Because I know
Great
you do videos and pictures, correct?
Yeah. Social media, video, photography, event stuff, in-studio stuff, on location. So how did I survive the pandemic? I didn't start freelancing full-time until shortly before the pandemic.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I had that going on, and I also started my own church, and the launch date was March 1st of 2020.
Congrats, brother. It's
Congrats.
freaking awesome.
Thank you. But again, it was 2 weeks before a
Two
global-
things in the beginning of the
You know,
pandemic.
honestly, Jarrett, I don't think I actually knew that. I mean, we spend a lot of time talking before we start videoing, and I feel like you've never said that you started your own church. Or
Yeah.
you did, and I wasn't listening, so if you did, I'm
Freaking
sorry.
awesome. So is that the videos you do? Is usually for your church too?
I try and be a little less technological on the church side of things.
More spiritual?
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's a different podcast.
There we go. Episode 2 with Jarrett.
Yeah. So I was starting two, essentially full-time jobs, at the same time.
Yeah.
And the answer to your question is, how did I survive the pandemic? And it's not very sexy, but the answer is I just had to.
I love it. Well, it's technically still not over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
2 years later.
You're still in the middle of this thing, but it seems like you're doing well. And every time I talk to you, you're busy.
Thanks. So
is good.
the job that I was at, I left to do these two things. Actually, I left to start the church, and I was going to try and get a job, just a normal job, because I view myself as a very good, number two person.
Sure.
I like to find somebody's vision, get behind it, run with it.
I love it.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, and also I have a wife and a 4-year-old, and
Yeah.
so the security of a
Yeah.
paycheck and
sure.
benefits and stuff sounded great. But I have a really weird resume, and no one even thought about
Yeah.
considering talking to me. I never got an interview,
Yeah.
nothing. And I tried for, a couple months.
Yeah.
And so while I was doing that at the same time, I was doing the freelance thing, and it was working out pretty good.
For sure.
And it kind of turns out the reason that I thought that I would be really good at a company makes me really good freelancing. I meet you guys, and
Yeah.
I kind of check out your social media and your personalities.
Yeah.
And I instantly kind of become part of your team.
For sure.
At least that's how
Yeah.
I do what I do.
You come in, it feels natural. The energy's good. You just met a new team. You're going to meet a new team member tomorrow, but all the new team members, they seem to mend with you very well, right off the jump. And I think we do pretty well in the commercials.
Yeah, heck yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah, it's fast. You guys
the
make
most
it
part.
super easy
Yeah.
on me. You're super professional.
That's right.
Yeah, and so I just I decided that I was gonna be everybody's number two guy.
I love it.
And
Love that.
so any job I take, that's
that's
kind of
perfect.
the approach that I take. I want to learn who you are,
Yeah.
and I want to kind of put that out into the world.
I like that you say that you like to be a number two, because every company does need a number two.
Yeah.
It's
and
not.
the number two is still important.
It's more. It's almost more important. The number one keeps everybody in line and keeps everybody working, but the number two is really grinding it out, and they're going along with you, and it's definitely needed within a company. So number two, number three, like you got A, B, C players, like you need them all when it comes to a business.
Yeah.
And don't underplay your A and B players or your B and C players.
I have a question for Jarrett. So, and this kind of just plays off of what you just said. So I'm actually glad you really brought your wife and your 4-year-old into the conversation. But we kind of just somewhat asked the same question to David, but I want to keep asking it again because we don't have a family yet. So how do you keep up with the stress of an entrepreneurship and just being, working for yourself and then also having a wife and a kid, and how do you juggle all that?
That is a great question. There's no like, this is how you do it, right? There's no like one answer. It's what's the expression, like putting the parachute together when you jump out of the plane?
There you go.
Yeah, it's like that. Number one, Tiffany is super on board with what I'm doing. It took her a couple months to get there because, as I mentioned, she was very excited about the possibility of security, steady check. So after I started doing it and she noticed that it was working, she's totally on board. So that's number one. If you're going to be an entrepreneur of any kind, make sure that if you have a spouse or a significant other, a partner, make sure they're into it. That doesn't mean they have to be like an active part of it.
Yep.
It's great if they are, but if they just like support you.
Support is very big when it comes to that.
Feeding on that, because we have a very spiritual perspective and outlook. Do you feel like being a spouse who isn't involved does require some spirituality and, belief and faith? Because it is hard sometimes to really trust someone when they're like, I've got this and I'm going to take this far and I'm going to, this business is going to soar. And if you've never been a part of an entrepreneurship family where you don't have any entrepreneurs in your family or you have nothing to relate it to, right? It's really hard to believe someone about that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, especially a lot of people have a lot of past trauma about being let down and being abandoned.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so it can be really hard for them to trust. So you just do your best, take little steps, gain a little more confidence each time you make a big move.
Yeah.
And
so do you think it's a continuous faith? Like you just have to keep the faith and it's going to be okay, continuous mantras? Like what do you do to kind of work through that stress?
Yeah, I'm always trying to keep her in the loop and involved on what I have going on. And not only that, she's kind of like one of my biggest sounding boards if I have an idea for something. So I'm pitching something here, internet. I got something for you.
Yes.
One of the things that I think is best for an entrepreneur is repeatable income that you can count on every month.
Yep.
I love grinding. I love the hustle of trying to get that next thing, but I'm old.
You ain't old yet, bro. Come on now, man.
It's nice to to be able to count on stuff that I have coming in.
Yep.
So right now I have something I call the Rockstar Plan, and it comes with every week you get an hour of video, an hour of photography. I'll produce a podcast for you. You guys are doing an awesome job, but I do it too. And it's $1,000 a month, and I just ran it by her, and she's like, "Okay, yeah, I think this could kind of work."
I love it, man.
And then I took it to a couple of my my clients that I think are really cool, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, I think this could be really cool." So I've got two people. I call them rock stars. I got two rock stars so far.
It's that monthly income, bro.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So now I know I've at least got that to count on. I can supplement it with events, with with one-offs and stuff. But back to your question, anytime I have an idea like that, I bring it to her. I've had a bunch where she's just like, no.
It is good to get some feedback, though, because if you were just to run with all those ideas and they weren't to work out, bad things can happen.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get down on yourself and you're like, oh, no, am I doing this right? Or should I be doing this?
Yeah.
But I think doing something that you love also has a lot to do with continuing on building your own business. If you do something you hate, you're definitely not going to continue forward with it. Especially if you're going to have some struggles, which you will if you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
it's never perfect.
Even if you're doing something you love, there's parts of it that you'll hate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You grow the hatred for
I'm
it.
actually glad he brought that up because, it's like I love what I do, but there are moments where, I'll tell Justin, I'm like, and he knows when he sees me do that I'm just like, I'm losing it. By the end of the week, I'm like, because it's so much that goes into it that people don't understand. And so many people want, and I'm going to say what we have, right? The entrepreneurship lifestyle, the business, the work for yourself, don't work for the man. But I'll never make it seem like it's easy. I'm not going to say quit your job tomorrow and it will happen. It's not easy. There's a lot
Right.
of things that go into it. And for us, with having a actual physical location, there's so many tiny, minute details that the employees don't see that I actually brought up to them recently, because one of them, we allow them to make more if they bring in their own leads.
Yeah.
So the one had started getting little leads off of this platform called Bark.com, and she was like, "Oh, I ran out of free credits," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "So you can imagine how it is to actually buy them, and then I have to pass them off to you guys and trust."
Yeah.
And it's just. It totally changes their perspective when they do try to go and get their own leads. But there's other things, right? Like just cleaning supplies and paper towels. And I'm constantly at work having to order water while I'm at work, and, sanitizer, making sure the sanitizers are full, and, mopping and vacuum every night, that we share all together. And thank God that we do, that we have a team that is really,
thanks
works
to the Abs
together.
Fitness team
Yeah,
for
thank you,
crushing it.
Abs Fitness team. But there's so many things that go into it. And I'm sure just with you
Yeah.
alone too, like invoices and,
Yeah.
keeping up with videos and edits and all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, editing is a bear.
Oh yeah, I came to the conclusion recently. I don't think I want to edit at
Just
all.
shoot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Give the editing to someone else.
yeah, even if it hurts a little bit, like
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah.
So
sure.
for instance, on the Rockstar plan, like I can only take so many
Yeah.
before I'm like totally booked. So I was just thinking, well, all right, what if I just don't edit any of it?
Yeah.
And then I just go shoot it. And then once I get a certain amount, then like maybe I can bring on people that I'm not shooting.
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure.
I'm just like barely involved.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So editing is one of the
How do
worst.
we get ourselves a
parts of that,
Rockstar
for
plan?
sure. Yeah, we'll have to talk to you after the podcast.
I do want to say specifically, it's great working with you guys because every time I show up, you have a script. We shoot the
Yeah.
script. I
Yeah,
edit
listen
the
to this,
script.
guys.
Yeah, so if you're in any sort of content creation, the best way to do it, plan it ahead of time before you have to do it.
And you know what, Jared? I'm not sure if I told you this, but we do. Justin and I, what we'll do at home is when we come up with a script, I have to stay on my back to him because he makes me laugh. But I,
I
stay
got
on
all
my
the
back
videos
to
on
him.
the phone still, guys.
And
I'll
he's got
release
all
them
the
one day.
videos, right? He's gonna just release it on the YouTube. I got all these videos of me like practicing, emphasizing.
You're doing this while you're
Right.
practicing?
I'm like, yes, come on, guys. But anyways, actually, I think I did. I think literally I'm doing that with my back turned
She
to him.
did.
But
Is that a shake weight? Is that what that was?
Possibly.
so I'm just like practicing
Practicize, that's the word of the
emphasizing
day.
words and like how they're gonna sound and how I want it to come out, and then like I'll do like 3 or 4 takes before we even do the video with you. So I know going into it, how I want to sound, what I want to emphasize, what's gonna sound better, like with a crescendo and this and that. And
Yeah.
I do feel like that makes a difference. But another question that we were wanting to ask you is that you really have been with us since, and I wouldn't say the beginning, because before you we were shooting videos on our iPhone. But
In the garage. It
you
was a
were-
Samsung,
right.
too.
Yeah.
In the
Which,
garage
hey,
was a
it's
Samsung.
okay. Like, if that's all you got,
Hey, it
Right.
still works, dude. It still
So
works.
you were with us since the old studio, and now carrying over with us to the new gym. So what was it, the experience like for you watching us go from there to the gym that we're at now?
Okay, great question. So you guys seem like you're doing great,
Yeah,
and that's the impression that I got. Like moving on up.
for sure.
Yeah, moving on up.
Yeah, because you started like when we were at the end of that other gym, we were like towards the end of leaving there, and I think we did like a video with you, and it made that little gym look amazing, and even our clients were like, "Yo, is you sure you shot that at your gym?" And I
that
was
the
like,
gym I worked
"Dude,
out
it's
at?"
all the cameraman. Like hits those angles and he makes it look good, and the lighting matters."
Yeah.
But it made a huge difference, and all of our clients noticed, and I mean, you helped us grow to this level. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
throw it up, baby, throw it up.
Cool. Well, thanks for saying that. That's great.
Of course.
Seriously.
You definitely helped us for sure, because our videos were trash before.
Oh yeah.
Straight garbage, but they work. We still had them work, and that's where he was coming in and saying like, "Yo, you can still use your iPhone, especially now the cameras are way better than they ever were." And we were still making sales on our freaking dumbass iPhone videos and still closing deals. So it's not impossible, but you just have to work on putting out the content.
Yeah, and I
Which is a
think
big thing.
one of the best things I see that you guys do too is you don't view me as like an end all be all.
Yeah.
Like we do a video every couple months or so,
Yeah, yeah.
every month maybe. But in between, you're constantly promoting with your own stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
And like
This stupid little thing right
Yeah.
here, guys. This is look at I have it with me at all times.
Sony.
I have a question actually. I'm
What's
going to
up?
interview you.
Oh.
Switcheroony.
How do you find a balance? Do you think there should be a balance? How do you feel about producing your own content? Like for me, sometimes I just want to like, hey, this is my family and like we're having a good day.
Yeah.
But then other times I'm super intentional about here's like what I'm doing for work.
All right,
How do
so-
you find the balance?
It's really interesting. You actually said this because I think I said to Ben today. He was like up in my face. I was like, all right, out of my face. And he was like, you agreed to this when we said I do. And I was like,
Yeah, that's
actually, I don't
right,
agree to
kid.
saying my every move would be videoed.
Yeah.
So, and that was a question I was going to ask you, somewhat similar. So, I just feel like everywhere we go, Justin's like, that's a piece of content. That's a piece of content. And I'm like, okay, can
Yeah.
we just like chill? Because like, I feel like I don't look good right now. And you're getting all my bad angles and I look ugly and disgusting.
He's like, perfect. That'll be the angle. I feel like
That's the beauty.
Dude, I
No.
love when Jarrett comes in because, like, she doesn't give him any of that bullshit. And I always get the bad Abby on the camera. Don't take a video today. And, I mean, we'll put it this way. She's usually, like, put that thing away, and I'm usually just, like, doing it over here.
So should
anyway.
there be
I'm
a balance?
like,
Yes. Is there currently? No.
Yeah.
I mean, when we went on
It's
our
tough.
trip to, I feel like all the trips we go on, because we're constantly trying to, I feel like when we get to a point where we're more known as Justin and Abby,
Yeah.
and not the trainers and the owners of the gym, and more so personalities, then there will be more of a balance, right? But I do understand, and the fortunate thing for Justin and I is that we do have the same mindset, the same work ethic, and we're very hard workers.
Yep.
That I see the drive and I see the larger picture, so I do realize that eventually there will be a balance. There just isn't currently because
Yeah.
we're trying to work ourselves up to a personality, and we need to let people see who we are outside of the gym. Abby's quirks, Abby's laughs, Justin's weird dance moves he does outside of here. His weird little songs he comes up with about our dogs. Like
Yeah.
that's the funny stuff that people want to see.
That's great.
But a question
hard
I
to
did,
balance, though.
it is hard to balance. A question I had for you is because you work with so many people just like we do. And I've had this, a tattoo artist said this to me the other day. He's like, man, people, I like almost like locally know. Like I can't go anywhere without somebody being like, hey. And I had one of those experiences and I'm going to laugh and I'm actually going to say like, listen, don't take this offensively. I saw a client at Target. Really, don't take this offensively. I love seeing you. But sometimes I'm just like, I'm in the zone or like, I don't want to talk, and then I see somebody I know, and they're like, "Hey," and then I have to put the "Hey Abby" voice on, and like I'm
Yeah.
just drained of energy.
Yeah.
But with being what you do you feel like you've gotten to a point where you're locally known, where like you, wife, and the kid, like you're trying to go out and just enjoy yourself, but somebody always sees you and knows you?
So luckily, I don't think that I'm at that sort of level, really. But I do see that in communication, mostly text messaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big texter. I love being available for people as
Yeah.
fast as possible, and I think that's probably part of why I am like successful. But that definitely comes with a cost. Like it'll be 10
sure.
p.m. and we're trying to like watch a movie together, and 3 people like need something really fast, and I've trained them to expect me to reply pretty quickly. So I don't really have a good answer there. Like
That is one thing that I get on her about.
I was just gonna say that.
I'm actually pretty good about it. If I don't answer your text, don't take it offensively, but I'm done with work at 8 p.m., kid. And if you don't like it, find someone else to train with. I'll
And
tell
I'm
you
over
that.
there like do like hiding under the blanket.
She's like, I just texted. I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you text
Yeah.
this
It
client?
could be
at
a new
10
client.
PM,
he's like, now
dude?"
they're gonna expect you to respond.
And then they
every
do
night
expect
at 10
it
p.m.
though. Then they do
Yeah.
expect it, and then they take advantage of it, and then it's just an annoyance.
Well, it's not even that they take advantage of it. It's like they'll take it personal if you don't respond right away because
Yeah.
they're so used to you doing that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I understand what Justin's saying. Like, yes, it has helped us get to the point of where we're at. Like, when you answer leads right away, they're hot. You need to
Yeah.
answer right away. But, like, I mean, there should be a cutoff thinking about the fact that, like, okay, it's 8:30 at night. They're probably, settling down with their family. I need to be settling down with my family. So I think we're finally getting to that point.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I do feel like we're constantly seeing people out, and like I just want to chill. Like
Yeah.
they
I
want to
mean-
know, like, oh, what she? God forbid I'm being judged at the grocery store. Or what is she buying?
Hey.
Or look at the nutritionist buying a donut. It's just like, just let me be me.
Donuts are delicious, guys.
or driving.
Oh,
Wow.
well, yeah, yep, yes.
Abby has
yes.
this experience a lot more than I do. We have 2 cars wrapped, and I drive a slingshot around and it's wrapped, and she drives her car and it's wrapped, and she gets in trouble in that thing a lot.
That's not necessarily always
say
true.
it.
That's not necessarily always true. But, I do feel like people are constantly judging me. Like, God forbid they see me go through Chick-fil-A on my,
With the
eating my cheat
Absmobile
meal with
and
the
the
Absmobile.
Chicky.
And I see the looks, dude.
Yeah.
I see the
Yeah.
looks. They're looking at me. They're looking at the mobile. And it's like, I just want to be a human. And I understand that maybe you have thoughts or questions, but, like, keep them to yourself. I'm a human outside of what I do.
They don't know that you've put in the work to earn
Right,
the
right,
dream
exactly.
shake or whatever. It's
We're all
called.
normal people too. Like it's and social media kind of paints
And
this
I,
picture
you know
of
what?
something
I have
else.
bad days. Sometimes I have bad days, and I just want to wear my resting bitch face. Okay, like I just want to like.
And I got to deal with it. You guys get the little work Abby, and Justin gets the home Abby.
Another
It's a
thing
big
too,
difference.
I don't know if you remember like English class, like they would teach you like these are the very strict rules that you have to learn to
Yep.
write a paper, but then you would read like these very famous authors and they like wouldn't follow the rules.
Yep.
But that was always a part of it. Like you have to learn the rules so that you can know how you can bend them or break them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Sure.
as a trainer, I'm sure like listen, yeah, I'm going to eat a freaking burger today.
Yeah.
But I did X, Y, and Z, and they
Yeah.
don't see that. They just see you in line and want to start judging you.
Well, they're like,
Oh, yeah.
then I can do that too, right?
Right? Like no,
And
no,
it's
no.
like,
Learn the rules first.
well, one day,
And you know,
man.
it's not even
Yeah.
just food. It's like they see me all done up in these videos. So then they're like, and I could tell they're like looking at me like they feel like they recognize me. They're like, whoa, night and day. She's not wearing any makeup. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
you know, I don't wear makeup on the average.
I think
Only when I
women-
do videos.
Neither does
Obviously deal with
Justin.
that more. See, that's what I was just saying. That's what I was going into. Men, we got it made. We ain't got to wear shit. I put a hat on. My hair looks stupid half
Yeah.
the time. Look at this. So,
So-
whatever, dude.
I'm
we
not
just
even
covered
taking
it
my
up.
hat off.
There you go. He won't even
Any
show.
other questions for Jared? I feel
Yeah,
like you
so,
had a couple more.
all right, I got a bunch of questions I want to rifle off. All right, so what is the coolest job that you have ever done? Like
Oh,
video-wise?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so I did some freelance work for a drum company called Sabian.
Let's go.
Ooh,
Yep. And I got to fly to LA.
sick.
Sick.
Yeah, they did this. They had this campaign called Obsessed. So what they would do is they would take different session drummers,
Yeah.
or not even session drummers. Some of them were like in bands, and they would say, "What are the 3 things you're obsessed with?" And they would pick like the guy that we filmed. His name was Carl Brazil.
Dope.
He plays drums for Robbie Williams, for James Blunt, for people like he's British.
Yeah, you might have heard him.
Yeah.
what he's
So
saying.
he's like, I'm obsessed with me son. I'm like,
He's British. He's British. I love it. I love it.
So he was obsessed with his son. He was obsessed with footy, soccer.
Yeah.
And then the third thing was like a piece of gear. And so
Okay,
we built
yeah.
this like whole campaign around this. And we filmed whenever they were doing, they were playing football, soccer with
Yeah.
their homies on like a pitch in the hills above LA, literally next door to Steven Seagal's house.
Oh, that's
Wow,
dope.
dope.
Yeah, and just like it was all netted so that if like you kicked it out, like it wouldn't go like literally down the mountain.
Yeah.
But it was just a very cool spot.
that's pretty cool.
And then like when I left, he filmed Chad Smith, which is the drummer from the Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to be there for that one, but the piece of gear that he was obsessed with was called a China cymbal.
Yeah.
And so he dressed up like a monk and went out to the Santa Monica beach and snuck up on people and just smashed the cymbal.
That's hilarious.
That's actually super dope. Yeah, that's awesome.
Love it.
So another thing, all right. So a lot of people are trying to get into the video realm of, I guess, working videography. My question would be, what would be like an ideal startup kit, camera-wise, or maybe like audio-wise and lighting-wise for someone to just start out? I know things get very expensive in the camera world, but what would be like a good startup package, I guess, that you would recommend?
Okay, if you're watching this and you want to get into video, these are the notes that you need, okay?
Take notes, people.
Take them.
The most important thing about video is audio.
Boom.
The second most important thing about video is lighting.
Boom.
The third most important thing is your camera. Okay? So, chances are you probably already have a great phone.
Yep.
Start there. They're awesome. And then the first thing you should buy is some sort of microphone. I really like the Rode Mic Go. They're like $300. It comes in a 2-pack. It's 2 transmitters with 1 receiver.
Oh.
And it plugs directly into your phone. It's super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then the next step would be to buy some lights. I really like, there's a kit that GVM makes. They're called I think they're called the RS80s or something. You buy a 3-pack. They're white or RGB, so you can get different colors out of them.
Dope.
They're like $350, $400 or so. That's a really good starting lighting kit. You can go cheaper than that, but that's just like super versatile.
Yep.
So first, use your phone, then grab a microphone, then grab some lights, and then when you're ready for a camera, show them yours.
Yeah, so this is the Sony ZV-1, guys. It's a really nice portable camera. It's like the old school like digi cameras, but it has a flip screen so you can selfie mode. It's a really nice camera. I think it's like $800, but Black Friday is coming, kids.
That's right.
And they
Gear
just
up.
released a new one, but it has lenses for it. So this one doesn't actually have lenses. This is it. You can get a wide angle lens for it. but you're probably going to look at like $600 and totally worth it. 4K, and the quality is amazing, and the autofocus on this thing is baller.
Yeah.
Justin, is this a subliminal message for what you want for Christmas?
I want some guns for Christmas this year. kid.
Oh, okay, cool.
But anyway, this camera is freaking good. Sony makes some good quality cameras, and I know you shoot with a Sony as well.
Yeah,
His is probably more expensive, but this is a really good start, guys. And if you have the iPhone 13, it now has cinematic mode, which I'll be getting. And I'm assuming that camera is just as good. I
Jared,
shoot
help me. I'll never be
all the
stop
time with
being
this.
filmed again now.
Good luck.
Literally while I'm sleeping. Abby's sleeping. Look how adorable
It's got
she
night
looks.
mode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got night mode,
Okay.
cinematic mode. It's pretty insane. I don't have it yet, but it looks pretty awesome.
He's like, pretty soon you'll see 600 videos of Abby.
But if you guys have watched any of our travel videos, those I actually have shot
dope.
with the iPhone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did bring this and I used it, but a lot of the footage came from the iPhone, and the stability on the iPhone and the quality is insane. So don't underplay your iPhone. It is a really good content creator. You just have to get the right angles, and you got to kind of know what you're doing.
Here's a
But
pop quiz.
it's simple.
Ready?
Yeah.
Who's the camera guy in the room? Anybody the camera guy?
Both.
Okay.
Answer.
What's the best camera?
Probably Reds, for sure.
Great question. What's the best camera?
Red.
The best camera is the one you have on you.
Oh.
So like, there's a cool video I seen. It had the red camera, the $25,000 camera, and then a GoPro Hero 3. And a professional used the GoPro, and an amateur used the red. And the GoPro footage looked a million times better than the red footage. So if you don't know what you're doing in the editing room, it makes all the difference.
And lighting.
And lighting, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
There we go.
The red is obvious. Like, if you can get a red, get a
the
red.
cat's meow.
But chances
The
are
cat's meow.
you can't. And so just use what you have. That's the point. Like,
Right.
Exactly.
Chances are you're not a baller, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
use your iPhone.
Another question I had for you, dude. All right, so I have a few down here. What is your favorite podcast to listen to? Quick question.
I don't really listen to a lot of entrepreneurial podcasts.
Okay.
I pop back and forth between like progressive faith stuff
Okay.
and football.
Cool.
Okay,
So if
cool.
you haven't listened to Game Changer podcast, they do it live here in the studio,
Yeah.
and it is a faith-based podcast, and it's dope.
That's my
I'll tell
favorite
you.
podcast.
Yeah,
I
we threw the
forgot
plug
to
in there. We
mention
threw the
that.
plug in there. All right, another quick question. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Ooh,
gosh.
are you a movie person or
Yeah.
a TV series?
Hey, he's a video guy. Come on.
Both.
man.
I don't know.
My favorite movie of all time. Okay, it might be a movie called Swingers. Has anybody ever heard of Swingers?
No. What's it about?
I've heard.
Okay, so do you know who Jon Favreau is?
Yes.
He's like the guy right now.
Okay, sorry, I don't know the guy.
No, he's in charge of like a lot of the Marvel movies,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
a lot of the
Cool,
Star Wars
cool.
universe.
Cool.
He got his start with a movie called Swingers. It's a little indie film.
That's what Vince Vaughn?
Yeah, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably 30 years old.
It's now old, guys.
Yeah, it's like one of the few stories you'll see that's a relationship movie from the guy's perspective.
Yep.
But the coolest part about it is just how they got it made and like all the behind the scenes stuff. And to know that he went from that to like
Where he is now.
directing Iron Man and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Crazy.
like and he actually just said the other day, like you could make a swingers type movie today for so cheap. Like for them
Yeah.
it costs thousands and thousands of
You
dollars.
shoot that shit on your iPhone now.
Yes, 100%.
And it would probably honestly look better than what
You're
that
giving
was
Justin
30 years
ideas,
ago.
and now I'm going to be in a movie. I'm like, great. Swingers will be happening this weekend. He's
So-
going to try to make his own movie.
Swingers is your number one movie. It seems because of the director or the producer.
Yeah.
So another question: what editing software do you use for videos?
Ooh, I have thoughts about editing software. I am a full-on Apple guy. I learned in Final Cut Pro, and then at some point they made their newest Final Cut, which they called Pro X, look and feel like iMovie, which was like the free entry,
Yep.
which is like if you're just getting started, please use iMovie. It's free. You
Yeah.
can just use it right now.
That's what I use, guys.
yeah.
too.
My videos aren't the greatest, but they're not also the worst, and it's all through iMovie, literally.
But
Very
I'm
simple.
like a jerk. Like I want to feel more like superior to what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
my editing software to feel like yours. So I checked out Adobe, and switching from Final Cut Pro to Adobe was more similar than switching from Final Cut Pro 7 to Pro X at the time. So now I'm an Adobe guy.
Cool.
So
Love that.
Adobe is the way to go. Cat's meow.
No, it's okay.
Preference.
Honestly, if you're just getting started, I would recommend DaVinci. It's free.
Yeah, DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, the color correction is like honestly better than any of the other programs, and it's free. Like just
Yeah.
don't overthink
You know,
it.
I got a question I want to ask and wrap up with, and this is a little more personal. So, being that you have a 4-year-old, Jarrett, what is your favorite thing about fatherhood?
Oh man.
Like, what keeps you going?
Dun dun dun.
Okay, I want to give you a real answer.
Make it sappy.
Okay. So I've talked about this with Tiffany. I don't know that I can explain this as well as I want to, but I get very emotional when I clean up his things. Okay. So he loves cars,
Yeah.
right? He has a million cars, and he has a garage and he has them all parked and stuff. And then maybe we put him to bed before we ask him to clean up. But like we
Yeah.
forget. I try and get him to do it himself. But then I gotta clean it up. So I start picking up the cars and like I can feel them.
Yeah.
They make noise, you know, they're
Yeah.
like the metal.
Oh, yeah.
And there's just something about that moment where I'm like, these are his that he loves so much.
Yeah.
And it brings him a lot of joy. And he's like a real human and person in the world who has like wants and talents, and like that's freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's
Like,
mind-blowing.
to quote Dave Chappelle, he used to live in my I don't know.
Chappelle's the best, man.
Yeah,
Love it.
It's so like that's maybe like a weird answer, but I just get this like just cool feeling knowing that he's like this human out in the world. Like,
No, I
Dude,
think
he's
that's
your
It's
human.
an awesome
Yeah.
answer. And you know, when Justin and I talk about having kids, because we plan on having one only, by the probably in another year.
Yeah.
But the one thing I get excited about being his wife is thinking about like how like we're just such best friends, and seeing like our mini and like seeing
Yeah.
what they look like, and then their personality. Like who are they more like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
interesting.
That must be like just like an amazing feeling.
yeah, and it's cool too. Everybody is different. Like your friends will be like, "Oh my gosh, Abby,
Yeah.
it is a mini you," and you're like, "No, it's like
Yeah, go, that dude
clearly
doesn't look
just
anything
a
like me.
Right.
yeah." So like
There's always that.
you
for
can
sure.
like there's a little bit of you there. There's a little bit of him.
Yeah.
And everybody sees it a little bit differently, and that's just like super cool. Like you came together and made this this human, this living, breathing dude who is like out in the world like wrecking stuff. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty
Love
They
that.
make their own way. Like you guide them, you know, as much as you can, but they eventually break off and do their own thing and make their
Yeah.
own way, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It is.
But to guide them in the right
But
way.
I
is
love that
obviously
we
the
ended
goal.
on that answer, because it's just it brings such joy thinking about like that's what our future is going to be like, hearing when people really talk about how much they love their kids. So thank
Yeah.
you, Jared. Like you're giving me hope when I hear people complain about their kids.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming out to the podcast. We had
Yes,
a really
thank you
good
so
time.
much.
I hope all you guys enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow us on all of our platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
So you got Abs Fitness LLC for Facebook. We got Abs Fitness _ Brandon Florida for Instagram. And Justin, what's the YouTube?
YouTube is Abs Fitness Filmhouse, and TikTok is Abs Fitness Tampa. And make sure you guys are following, subscribing to all those channels.
And,
we are relaunching the website as well.
Oh, yep.
Within the next 6
Ooh.
weeks.
Yep.
So make sure you guys are watching out for that. We're gonna have all new content on there and some cool new stuff on the website.
And keep your ears open for the Abby voice. Riverview,
Yeah.
Brandon,
There's a couple new
Valrico, and
ads.
all the surrounding areas.
We're doing
Get
one tomorrow,
elevated.
so you will see a new one very soon, even though we just made another new one. So we thank you guys again for following,
Bye,
liking, and
guys.
subscribing, and we'll see you next week.
Woo!
Goodbye.